Hello again, my name is Ezra and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm here with my friend Johnny's Phoenix, who has never seen the show JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That's technically not true.
That is technically not true. We watched the first 3 episodes of Part 3 3 years ago? 2 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Just because he's a fan of D&D and Matt Mercer voices Jotaro. And then we just completely dropped it. Because at the time, I don't think
I completely
true.
dropped.
Even before we started watching it that time, I had already watched the entire show. But today, so because of that, he only knows those few couple stands from the first, 3 episodes. But, since he hasn't watched the rest of JoJo's, and he only knows the basic description of how stands function, and the few stands that I've told him about because stand powers are really cool and wacky, today, I've used Chat GPT to come up with a bunch of fake stands that are entirely made up, and then also use ChatGPT using the same, explanation method, the same format, to describe real stands. So there's not going to be any inconsistency with how I explain how the stand works. So I'm going to describe these fake stands and real stands to John, and he has to decide if it's real or fake. And ChatGPT is a little iffy because it's trying to fill this format. Certain stands that have more basic abilities or fewer weaknesses, ChatGPT tries to fill in more strengths and weaknesses than it has, but I will improv and correct stands' abilities for both the fake stands and the real stands to sound closer to the actual show. And for the real stands, I will correct them so that it doesn't include any false information. And for the fake stands, I'll just make it sound less overpowered or more consistent, if that is what it is. So, do you remember how stands work? What do you know about stands?
I know stands exist. They're tied to the person somehow. Power levels unknown. Generally speaking, stands have a distance that they're allowed to act out to, and they sometimes have random cool abilities. And I think you also told me that it generally, which isn't true for all stands, that the shorter the range, the more powerful the stand is, and the longer the range, the weaker the stand is.
That is correct. The longer range stands generally take less damage, can usually output less damage, but not always. They'll usually just have wackier abilities.
But yeah, that's about all I know about the stands. I don't even know if a stand user has to be defeated for a stand to stop standing, or if the stand can be defeated, or how any of that works.
So
if it's just a Pokemon battle, except they're both just trying to kill the Pokemon trainer.
Different stands work in different ways. Most stands, if you deal any amount of damage to the stand, it also bounces back onto the user. So if you beat up a stand enough, it will kill the user. But again, certain stands are physically stronger or weaker, so they'd be able to take more or less damage, and that is reflected upon the user. And then some stands, longer range, or they're called automatic stands, the user would have less control over. It would just have a preset program that it runs. They'll usually have some tracking ability, and you just activate it, and it'll lock on to whatever its target is, and just attack, basically. And stands like that do not reflect the damage onto the user. So in that case, you have to find the user and kill them to stop the stand from coming after you. So stands can do basically anything. All the rules for stands are just nonsense. They're damaging it.
It's just like the English language. There's a bunch of rules, but there's just randomly a word or a phrase that just defies all the rules.
Yeah. For every rule, there is a creation that breaks that rule and does not give a fuck. So, with that explanation out of the way, I will start reading off the stands. So, it is, of course, listed by the abilities, then the strengths and the weaknesses, and its utility. So, after I read it off and describe it, you can ask me more specific questions, and I will either say, like, I can't answer that, either because it's a stupid question, or because I can't answer it, or I'll try and answer it to the best of my ability, using the information that I have between having watched the show and reading Chat GPT's prompts for it.
Okay.
Here we go, I guess. So this first name, this first stand is called Cosmic Catalyst. So it is a short-range power-type stand, so it can only extend like 2 meters away from its user. So it's a lot stronger, but it does not have any ranged capabilities at all. So it takes the form of a humanoid stand, because not all stands look like humans, for the most part they do, but some of them can be like anything. So this one's a humanoid stand, and it's got like a sleek metallic body that's adorned with intricate circuit patterns, and it has a visor-like mask that covers its eyes, giving it a mysterious look. And its body emits like a faint cosmic aura, and it's like constantly like radiating stardust, basically.
Alright.
So like, its ability is that it manipulates cosmic energy. So like when it's outside, it can like absorb like the cosmic radiation of the universe and manipulate that. So it allows it to harness and manipulate the cosmic energy, giving it tons of speed and power. So it can like channel that cosmic energy directly into its strength and speed to just absolutely overpower and outspeed its opponents like every time.
Okay. So it uses photosynthesis, is what you're telling me.
Kind of.
Primary note here is a plant. Got it.
And then it can also use like the stardust and the cosmic energy around it to make like protective shields. So it can protect its user more effectively, and it can protect itself at the same time. And like the problem with that, or the like weakness of this stand, is obviously it's only good in close combat, but it only has as much cosmic energy as it has. So, like, if it's indoors, that power's a little more limited. If it's, like... I was gonna say that it kind of depends on if it's day or night, but I guess we don't really get to see that, because it doesn't really matter. But it's weaker inside, because there's less cosmic radiation inside. But it has to use that energy... Like, it has to conserve its energy. Eventually, it'll burn out of energy, and it'll just be a regular stand at that point, and it won't have its
So it, like,
buffs.
saves up the cosmic energy over time,
Yeah.
is what you're saying. Like, it can't just, like, fast power up, like, Super Saiyan 2, you know?
No.
Okay.
But being outside, there's obviously more, like, latent cosmic energy, so it can use it directly.
Obviously, because it, you know, it's doing photosynthesis.
Yes,
of
clearly.
course. Okay. So it's protective shields. You said it could protect itself and its user with those shields?
Yeah, it can just
so
generate
it, like,
a
projects
shield.
its cosmic energy, and it just can protect itself and its user.
Yeah.
So it just completely negates its squishy wizard, human person.
The human
that's
blood
just not even a problem. I guess it only has, you said, like, right around 2 meters of range, so I guess it, like, can't get very far anyways.
Yeah,
but...
so the shield, the protecting the user, doesn't really matter all that much, because for close-range power-type stands, they can't leave their user anyway. So you already have to get past the stand to get to the user.
Exactly.
But it can kind of protect against, like, sneak attacks, at least.
Right, or like a massive fireball or something.
Yeah,
Those
sure.
exist. Okay.
There is a
All
stand
right.
that shoots fire.
Metallic body. Eyes are covering eyes. Faint cosmic
You've seen
aura.
that stand, actually, because it's in episode 1.
Is a plant. Little
It's
suspect.
not a plant.
Is a plant. That's there. Cosmic energy. Trying to think if I have any questions. What is the general like facade or like personality of this stand?
Stands... I was gonna say stands don't have personalities. That is a lie. The rules don't apply. So stands are just, like, the personification of the person's fighting spirit. So, like, they don't... they usually... There are, like, 2. They don't have sentience. Like, they just do directly what the user wants them to do.
I got you. Okay, so that doesn't matter. That's not going to help me for determining.
So that will
okay.
not help you determine if it is real or fake.
Cosmic Catalyst. Alright, next stand. Let's go.
Oh, you're not going to say if you think it's fake or real?
I
yeah,
see.
Yeah, so we're not comparing. This is going to be, is this real or is this fake? Because if this is real or fake, you'll get like a profile of like what real stands are like or could be.
That's what I was gonna say. The problem is for this first one is I have no basis to measure this off of.
Exactly. So I think it's more interesting if we do it like that.
Cool.
Instead of comparing it being a 50-50.
Yeah, exactly. Because then I have a 50-50. Yeah. Everything that you explained about it makes sense for what I understand of how it works. Its power makes sense. I'm gonna say it's real.
It's not a real stand.
Are you serious?
It's just a made-up stand for the first one.
What? Okay.
I mean... Yeah, long, detailed explanation.
So good.
And it's just fake. Chat GPT is a little wild.
I should have known. The plant part threw it off.
It wasn't a plant.
Yes, it was. You literally said those words. Flashback to when you said those words.
Uses cosmic energy. It does not use photosynthesis. But that is a
photosynthesis is using the cosmic energies.
Sure. Alright, so that's one fail. That's alright.
Do I get a prize at the end if I'm above a 50-50?
Sure. What do you want the prize to be?
To be determined.
I get a sand arrow and I shoot John with it on video.
You get a what?
Oh yeah, so in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, to get a stand, you get shot by an arrow that came, I think, from a meteorite from space, and it's like an alien virus, actually.
Why does that give you stands?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a perfectly
so every
normal
single
show.
person with a stand got stabbed by that arrow?
Not necessarily. Actually, that's not true. It can also, like, go through bloodlines. So, like, if your great-great-great-great-grandfather got stabbed by an arrow, then you might awaken a stand, like, when you're born or in a moment of, like, high stress. Because, again, they're related to the user's, like, fighting spirit. So, like, if you don't have a very strong fighting spirit, you might never awaken a stand.
I gotcha.
Or your stand would be weaker. Like, its strength relates to your fighting spirit.
Okay, alright. Akazia would like a lot of people in this universe, I feel.
I don't know who that is.
That's Upper 3 from Demon Slayer. Come on.
Akaza.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's not what you said.
That's what I said.
Did you? Am I deaf?
I don't know.
I think you said Akaza. Or, no.
You can't prove me wrong. It's not recorded.
Kill me.
Akazia.
Alright, next stand.
Next stand. Alright, give me that name.
So this one is Mirage. So it is a long-distance stand Not in like how far it can go out. It only can go like 10 meters away from its user, which is like a decent distance, but its like ability can affect a larger area. So this stand makes illusions. So it is another humanoid stand, and it looks like transparent and ethereal, and it's like covered in intricate patterns, and it's like got glowing eyes, and it's just kind of like ghostly and ethereal, and like phases in and out.
Okay.
So its ability is just to make super realistic illusions, and it can make illusions of people, objects, like cover an environment even, and like make you think that you're in the middle of a city and you could just be walking through the desert. And it could all just be real. It can do literally all senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, and just straight up taste. Like illusion of everything.
Okay.
So it can just, it basically just generates a field of illusions, and it can project those illusions onto like allies. So it itself isn't an incredibly strong stand. Like, it basically just uses illusions to like assist its allies, where it'll like camouflage their allies, make them look like different people, make them like blend in with a crowd, and maybe the crowd's also just an illusion. Like, it can do all sorts of things. Like, it could just make a sound, like a flashbang right next to you. Just literally do whatever.
So it's super weak physically then, right?
It's not super weak, but against most stands, it's not going to win in a straight fight. It has to, like, hide behind illusions and, like, trick people.
Right, okay. Alright. Mirage. Is its nickname M&M's? Because that, I feel like that...
No.
Alright. Well, just for that alone... So I really thought the first one was real.
But you don't have a basis for this. Like, until I say one of them is real or fake, like, you won't know how stands are allowed to exist. Other than the ones that I've told you about.
Any questions I'm trying to think of?
Like, at the same time, you could just think of stupid questions to try and throw me off. Like, this is entirely up to you.
True, because then if it's fake, then, you know, then I'm making you dig into your brain hole to try to figure out something, or you're frantically typing to Chat GPT to bail you out.
I'm not typing anything more than I have. I'm just... Because all these are, like, predetermined responses, so I can't say, like, in reference to this stand that you did 5 prompts ago. I mean, I guess I could, but it'd be slow.
Okay, I don't have any questions for this one. I'm just gonna call this one real also.
Alright, it's fake.
I hate everything not real.
I don't know why you...
Life is meaningless.
I had a terrible description. I don't think I actually double-checked this one after it generated. This is a very, like, basic stand. Like, that power is kind of ridiculous, but, like... I was not descriptive at all because I didn't know how to describe it. I'm just like, shit, it just makes illusions. That's all it does. It's just going to be garbage in combat. That's all it can do. Like, it's literally just illusions.
I envisioned like a ghastly, like, ghost type figure, like, you know, Casper's out there, you know, bullying people. I was gonna ask some stuff about, like, the character of the person and how that relates to the stand, because, like, you know, if it's directly related to them and their fighting spirit, is it like, you know, they put out a bunch of faces or something, blah, 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 but... Anyways,
sometimes stands are related to, like, the personality of the person using them, but as time goes on, that gets a little less true, because stands get a little wilder.
Alright, we're over 2. Let's go. Next stand.
So, next stand. So, this will be fun. So, this stand is called Weather Report. So...
Okay, continue.
So, Weather Report is another tall humanoid stand. Yeah, it's a very, like, not a very muscular build, but it's muscly, like everything in JoJo's. It's mostly, like, white and has, like, blue accents and, like, cloud-like patterns, so it looks like a humanoid cloud, basically. And its head is like a weather vane-looking thing with, like, lightning coming off of it. Like, that. So its ability is that it can control and manipulate the weather within its range. So it can just make a storm out of nothing. Just straight up make it downpour rain, generate fog, make clouds or anything wherever it wants. Straight up just summon lightning bolts.
Instantly cause, like, a hurricane or a tornado as well?
Yeah, basically. And it can control it, like, very fine-tunedly. Like, it could just straight up make a mini tornado, like, in a room. And it would just be, like, a straight-up tornado. And he can, like, manipulate wind and, like, air in the room very well. But also, it can just break the laws of reality. It can just make it rain frogs. It can do anything. It can make it rain anything. Like, it can just manipulate the weather in basically any way, and it's bullshit. But its most bullshit ability is called Heavy Weather, where it makes a bunch of rainbows. Just rainbows everywhere. And if you look at the rainbow, it actually is a form of hypnosis and, like, hallucinations, to where it hypnotizes your genetic code. If you touch a rainbow after having looked at one, your body starts to dissolve and you turn into a snail. So, if you're blind and you're walking around and you touch one of the rainbows, you won't turn into a snail, because you're blind and you didn't see the rainbows. But if you saw the rainbows and then touched them, or if you touch any of the snails that came about because of the rainbows, you'll turn into a snail.
Bruh. Okay. So if you just have your eyes closed and touch the rainbow, then you're fine?
If you close your eyes before the rainbows were around, yeah. So you'd basically just have to fight this guy blind.
Just summon all these rainbows, and then just use the wind to yeet you into them, and then you're just a snail now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds like a lot of bullshit.
He can't do both at the same time. Like, if he has the rainbow power active, he can't control the weather in, like, any other way.
So all I've gathered so far is all of the powers are actually bullshit.
Yeah, there's no consistency. Literally anything is possible.
I was really gonna say not real to this one, but I'm gonna say real again, because I feel like it's bizarre enough to fit. I swear to God.
So...
this one's also not real.
I have some news.
Is this one also not real?
This is a real stand.
Okay, I was right. Let's go.
That's such a dumb power. And that is an actual ability for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Gotta watch this shit, man.
Yeah, immediately after we finish this, we're going to watch the show. It's so dumb, but so funny.
Right. So all of the abilities are just bullshit. Got it. That's what I've learned so far. Next stand.
So the next stand is called Quantum Shift. So this one is the first not humanoid one on our list. It's just a small, like, spherical stand that its user has to, like, hold. It's kind of like a circular Rubik's Cube, I'd say, to where, like, they have to interact with it to, activate their stand's abilities. So it's like an object-based stand. So it allows its user to manipulate like the fundamental forces of physics. So it can alter like gravity, like electromagnetic forces, and so it can like increase and decrease the weight of objects, make them like float or completely change trajectory if a projectile is coming at them. Or he can like make an electromagnetic force field to where it'll attract or repel like magnetic objects, or he can like straight up EMP a place and get like shut off all the lights or shut down like electrical systems and stuff. Like he disables a car with it to stop the protagonist from getting away from him. So it's not like a powerful because it's not a humanoid, it can't like throw punches and stuff, so it's not made for fighting, but being able to manipulate gravity and stuff is a little crazy. Like you could aim it at a person and just like slam them into the ground, slam them into walls, like make them magnetic and have all the metal in the area get attracted to them.
And can it have multiple of these going at a time, or is it just like the weather one where it can only have one active at a time?
It can... It's fast enough that it could swap between them, but it can only have like each type active at a time. So it can be manipulating gravity on multiple objects, but it cannot manipulate gravity and magnetism at the same time.
Right, okay. But it wouldn't even have to be, like, connected to the original thing that it was affecting. It could actually target multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm guessing it has to be...
The way that it works when it's, like, manipulating gravity is it's actually, like, affecting the density of the object. So if it makes something heavier or lighter, it makes it stronger or more fragile as well.
That's busted.
It is a little busted, but again, it's not like an actual stand. It's just the user.
Right, he has to interact. Right, so it's not... But combined with another stand.
Yeah, if he had an ally.
So, and it has to be things that it sees then, obviously, or else it could just, like, you know,
he has to
make your whole body heavy and your heart light, and then you just crush your own heart and die.
Yeah, he has to point and shoot.
Oh, like a finger gun?
No, it's a little ball. Okay. Yeah, it's got like a...
Okay. That feels proper bullshit. Is this a villain or a hero?
There's a villain stand.
Villain stand.
Don't really see it all that much.
Alright. I'm like, I'm kind of just being a yes man right now, but I'm gonna call this one real.
You can't just keep calling all of them real.
I know.
Is that your final verdict, real?
Hold on. Sphere, Rubik's Cube. So this is the first time you brought up an object-based stand. From what I understood, they were like creatures essentially attached to the person doing things, but this one can't do anything on its own at all. It literally just is the cube.
Yes.
Doesn't have a voice, just exists.
Yes. Has to be manipulated by the user directly.
So could somebody just take it from them? Could someone just grab it and walk away?
No, because the way that like all stands work is that you can like summon and unsummon it. So if someone else like tried to grab it, he could just have it phase out of reality, essentially, which that's not exactly how it works, but functionally that's what it does. He could just, if somebody tried to grab it and take it from him, then he could just make it rematerialize in his hand, essentially. But also, if somebody got that close, they could just punch him in the face and kill him.
This is the first object-based one, so I have nothing to go off of again.
Yeah, that's fairly true. I mean, honestly, the more stands that you hear about, the less helpful it is. Like, it's not going to make this easier, I promise.
You know what? You see, but it feels so... It's not that bizarre, though. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm going based off of the bizarreness of this. It's just manipulating physics. You know, Einstein did that. You know?
Yeah, I remember when Einstein invented gravity.
Yeah, see, exactly.
People were
Like
able
that
to
one
float
guy who
before
had
that.
the apple fall on his head, like, you know, like nothing worked before then. So based on that
Mom and
logic,
Dad
I'm
walked
gonna
uphill
say...
both ways to school. 'Cause
Exactly.
physics wasn't invented yet.
Yeah, that didn't work yet. That's how that worked. If it wasn't like just like, you know, running was invented in like 18 whatever, so people before that were just like, you know, fast walking, speed running.
Like, running was invented in the 90s.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm calling this one not real based off of that and nothing else.
That is
Nothing else to go off of.
finally correct.
Let's go.
This was not a
I
real
was right on
stand.
the last one.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you were
Okay.
just saying real to all of them because you had no idea. So
I just gotta
this
go
one
based
is
off of the
not
bizarreness
real.
factor.
So at this point, I might give you a hint as well, just because it might be a little helpful. I doubt it, but it might be. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, almost everything is a song reference. Like, I think I've told you this before.
Yeah,
but, like,
I remember you saying
characters'
that, yeah.
names, stand names are almost all songs.
Okay.
So if that helps you at all.
Okay. Alright.
So this next stand is called Green Day.
I like. I've listened to songs from them. I appreciated them, I think.
So, so this stand is another humanoid one. Most stands are humanoid. It is like skeletal and like emaciated and rotting, and it's like covered in like dark green moss. So like it's a like it almost looks like a corpse just covered in decaying mossy vegetation. And it's like toxic and green looking, or green and toxic looking.
Same thing, really.
So its ability is that it basically spreads spores of like a fungus that it's a fungus. It's like a flesh-eating moss or fungus that just rapidly consumes whatever it touches. But it doesn't activate immediately. It spreads these spores and infects whatever's in the area.
So that it, like, activates it?
At base, it has a range of, like, 20 meters. So anything that's within, like, 20 meters of this stand when the user activates it gets infected. And then if you move downward in space, like if you start walking down a hill, if your elevation changes downward, if you go closer to sea level, the moss rapidly grows, consuming your body. And, like, it decays and, like, eats your flesh away really fast. And it's directly proportional to how fast you move down. Even just dropping, like, down a staircase, like 10 feet, you would be dead before you made it to the bottom.
So it's just the curse of the abyss from that one show that we watched.
Not really, but sure.
Yeah. It's
But
the opposite
then,
way, though.
As people start getting infected with the stands, it's hard to say what it is. As people get infected by this disease, is the best way to describe it, it extends the stand's range, because then anyone that's within It's not directly like shown or stated, but it's like 20 meters approximately would be the best way that I could describe it, of anything that's infected. So it's very much like a villainous stand of just non-discriminate destruction.
Activates it, or is it just all the time it's doing that?
So like I said before with the object stand, you can like summon and put away your stand. So when he like pulls it out and activates its ability, it becomes active, and I'm pretty sure
and
you can
no
deactivate
range limit then.
There
so,
is
like,
no
if you
range limit.
Somebody and like
just,
they get on a plane and fly over to the other side of the planet, and then they land, and then they like explode and die, and then they activate it. Then everyone way over there all gets infected by it.
If he keeps the stand activated that entire time, yes, but he can deactivate the stand at any time, and if he deactivates it, every single person that's infected just is no longer infected. Like, it goes away.
Oh.
And then, obviously, killing him deactivates the effect as well. So,
and obviously he's immune to the effect.
He can willingly inflict the effect on himself, and does it in the fight to, like, manipulate his own body. And then, it's just weird, because it makes no sense, but he like takes himself apart using his own decay and like can put himself back together.
So what would happen if they were in outer space and the stand just doesn't work?
I guess. That's a terrible question. But yeah, I guess it wouldn't work, because it wouldn't be able to affect people.
You know what? That's not bizarre.
But yeah, he just activates it in the middle of a city, and it just destroys everything. Like, people are just constantly dying, and it just spreads, and it's just the, like, end of the world, basically. Other than that, it's not super strong. Like, it's not a particularly powerful stand. But if it pushes you and you fall down, you just die. All he has to do is push you over, and you'll just fall over dead, because you'll get covered in the infection as you fall, and you'll just die.
So, I was almost going to say raw, like, not real, but it does seem pretty bizarre. And also, I feel like you actually made, like, direct connections without spoiling anything when I was asking my questions this time, so I'm gonna have to say real.
This is a real stand.
Let's go!
I got a little too descriptive with how
I was about
to
say, I felt like... Let's go!
But yeah, that's a real stand.
That's just...
It's so fucked up.
Just gonna take him to outer space. Easy, dude.
Yeah, it's easier to take him to outer space than to just shoot him in the head.
Sounds absolutely broken.
It is. It's so fucked. Like, that's
every
nonsense.
Single stand that's real is just broken, apparently.
That's the funny thing. Like, I was telling you as I'm making these AI-generated stands, they're just bullshit. They're, like, too overpowered. It's not giving them enough weaknesses. Or it's like trying to apply more weaknesses to real stands. It's like, no, real stands are more broken than anything that an AI could imagine.
Okay, next.
This next stand is called Strength. So this is another object-based stand. This stand is a cargo ship.
Okay.
It's just a whole ass freighter. So it's literally just a cargo ship. That's all it is. So its ability, more specifically, is it has to, like, possess an actual object. So it's in, like, a small dinghy, like a small boat, and the stand, like, possesses it and turns it into this massive cargo ship. but the entire cargo ship is the stand. So if you're at all near it, or you're even worse, if you get on the ship, the entire ship is the stand. So the user can freely control the entire environment. So, like, anchors will just fly off the walls and shoot at you. Like, propellers will just freely bend and launch off like a high-speed blade at you. The, like, cranes, the cargo cranes on it, it can just freely swing those around and swing the giant steel beams and just completely fuck you up. And the user,
So is there
well
only
on the
inanimate
boat,
objects?
what do you mean?
Is it just like any object, no matter how big or small? Like it could take over a building, or is it specifically vehicles or boats?
It can only make a boat. That's all it does. It just makes a giant cargo ship.
Alright.
But the user can just like walk through the walls and stuff on this ship, because he can freely manipulate the entire ship. So he could just like walk through a wall or something. But other people can't. And it can just control anything on the ship. Just the steel beams, random objects, anything will just come to life and start attacking you. The entire ship is the stand.
You couldn't just like put a hole beneath your feet, and as you're falling, just close on your neck and kill you.
Yeah, probably. It's not fast. Like, it doesn't happen instantly, but
Right, okay.
yeah, it could technically do that. It could make like a thin spot in the floor just covered by like a carpet from the ship and make like a
And it's
pinball
just
ground.
like the ship itself and anything within the confines of the ship, not anything right next to it or touching it or anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like an illusion, but not really. It's a projection of your fighting spirit, so it's just the giant ship and anything that comes on said giant cargo ship.
And then he could just wave his hand and the whole ship just disappears.
Yep.
Or appears, wherever he wants.
Well, it like possesses a small boat. So it's basically like enhancing an existing object. So it makes the small boat into a giant
So if he carried around a canoe on his back everywhere he went, then he could just yeet out a cargo ship.
basically. But yeah, it is functionally useless on land or inside. It's only useful on the ocean. I mean, otherwise, yeah, sure, you could try and throw
Just
canoe
like
and
how
turn it into a
Green
cargo
Day
ship.
is only useful on the planet Earth, because there isn't a sea level in outer space or on the moon. I have made a direct comparison. Nope. We said that it wouldn't work. It's the sea level. It has to do with the sea level. So making that comparison, that is the only line I can draw. Wait, you said it. So does the stand like not have a embodiment until it possesses something? Like
yeah.
it just is energy, or
Again, the stands exist inside the person, like it's your fighting spirit. So he has to touch this dinghy, and then it grows and expands and becomes the cargo ship. And he can freely control the entire cargo ship.
Huh. Well, seeing as there's only one line I've been able to draw, and that one was real, I will say this one is real also.
This is the worst line of logic that I've
That's the
ever
only
heard.
line of logic I can follow.
And this is a
There's
real
no
stand.
logic. Let's go. See, it's working. You're like, oh, it's the worst. It's literally working.
This is such a dumb theory, though. I
Real.
don't understand it, but sure.
And what do you mean you don't understand? I just explained it to you. It's the only connection I could draw.
My god.
It worked. Next step.
Sure. Next stand. This stand is called
Another one.
Echo Chamber. So this one is like, it manipulates sound. So another humanoid one. Its body is like translucent, so you can see through it, but it like emits faint like pulsing light, and it's like covered in etchings of like sound waves and like musical compositions and things. And its abilities of manipulating sound, it can like redeflect and like redirect sounds. So it's not that's particular of it. It's not super useful, but it could like stop allies from communicating in the middle of the fight, so they can't really talk to each other. But its like main ability is shooting out like powerful sound waves, and it can specify the resonant frequencies to like the same way that you'd shatter a wine glass by singing at the right frequency. It could just shatter stone, objects, like straight up deal damage to people directly, but of course it's anime, so it doesn't just kill you outright, even though it's shattering all your organs and you're spitting up blood. And then obviously like shooting out loud ass sounds that are just flashbangs, like blow out your eardrums level, just stuff like that.
Can it choose who it affects? Or is it just everyone in the area?
It has like direct control over it, so it can direct it at a single person, or it can like blast in a single direction.
Okay. Okay.
But it is still, because it's like sound based, you can like cancel it out by shooting back sound waves. So like with a stand like Star Platinum that's incredibly physically strong, it can do like the Hulk clap thing of like sending a sonic boom in that direction that would cancel out its sonic waves and stuff like that. Or using objects in the area like sound pads to try and like weaken its sound blasts a bit. Because like it can only, like the resonant frequencies thing will only work on so many objects, of course.
So can it pull like a flash and just vibrate real fast and then move super fast too?
No, I mean, even if it could, that doesn't help the user. And again, I mean, I guess I didn't say its range is like 15 meters around its stand user. And again, it's not very strong in physical combat. So it's got a range of like 15 meters, so it can fly out. Like, the user could stand inside and look out a window and have it stand, go out a fair distance, and fly around in the air shooting these sonic blasts. But if you got your hands on it, you could fuck it up pretty easily, because it's not super strong. But sonic blasts are a really strong ability to have.
Okay. Although it is strong, it's not very bizarre, I'd say. And it bears a striking resemblance to Mirage, who was a false god. It was a red herring, illegal, not real. But also, you could have been trying to do that to throw me off.
So what's your verdict?
It's both not bizarre, but also I feel like you do something like that. Not real.
It's not
Final
real!
answer. Let's go!
I thought
My
I'd get you
logic's
at that
working.
one.
Get destroyed.
I went really specific on, like, its combat
I
capabilities.
know you did.
For the sake of, like,
I
trying to
was
trick you.
I was so torn. But it wasn't that bizarre, and it was too much like Mirage.
I don't think it's at all similar, but sure.
In the way you described their physical appearance, it is.
Sure. I guess. That is fair.
They're both weaker physically. Yeah. Get wrecked. See? You were making fun of my line of logic, but I've gotten more correct since I
shouldn't be questioning logic when it comes to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right.
Exactly.
I'm the idiot here.
You're the hypocrite. I have 5
That's
right and
so
2
funny.
wrong.
You got 2
Ever
wrong,
since
and then you got 1
and I'm
right. You're just like,
every
weather
time.
report exists. Anything is possible. Everything's correct from here on out. Like, fuck you. That's so dumb.
I've learned. I figured it out. I cracked the code.
You know, tough but fair. So this next stand is called Fashion Show. So it is another humanoid. It looks like an elegant, like, faceless, glossy mannequin. And, like, it's got multiple arms, like, covered in, like, 10 arms, and they can, like, detach and float around it. And they're all, like, super quick and nimble. And its ability is to, like, manipulate fabric and clothing. So it can, like, just make the clothes look like anything, like, can alter any piece of fabric to look like anything else, basically. So it could just have, like, a generic t-shirt become a super fancy dress and, like, look at amazing. But its actual ability is when it is manipulating these clothes, it's stand energy. It's like an enchantment, basically. So it can make, like, illusions or, like, change people's emotions. Like, if you're wearing it, it can basically make a radius of anyone that's looking at you, like, thinks that you're, like, cooler, like, more authoritarian. Like, it'll make them, like, more submissive or, like, fearful, or, like, you could basically, like, put any kind of emotions into it. But also, if you're, like, going around, it can send those arms out and it could touch an opponent's clothes and, like, tighten the clothes on them to, like, restrain the movement, or directly change their emotions from within, just straight up on their clothes, because it doesn't affect the user, it just affects anyone looking at the clothes. So if it affects your own clothes and you're wearing them, it's hard to look away from that. And it can just do stuff like that.
And then it doesn't affect the user, obviously. I'm just imagining if Tengen and the best genist fused together, and I cannot get the image out of my head.
So good. That describes every JoJo character, though. Like, super flashy outfits and just outrageous style.
So it manipulates emotion and just fabric and clothing in general.
Yeah. And then it's, again, not a very powerful stand in terms of combat. It's like mid-level strong. And it does have 10 arms, which is useful, and can, like, independently move those. But it's not, like, super fast or strong, like a combat-heavy, like, melee 2-meter stand. And if you have, like, really strong willpower or just, like, single-minded focus of, I'm just gonna break this man's face, it's obviously not gonna help in a fight. Of mildly making them more angry or shy or something.
It could just cause kinks.
Yeah.
You're aroused now, aren't you? Yes, and I don't know why.
Bruh. So what's the verdict on this stand?
It's fairly bizarre. Not very plant-like.
You can't use the plant-like thing, though, because Green Day was, like, moss and fungus.
Ah, you're right. So I have to throw a plant out the window now. Plant is a red herring. I'm torn again, but just because I want the Tengen best genist combination to be real. Is the personality of the user kind of like Tengen?
Yeah, it really is just a mix of Tengen and Best Genus, of just
Okay, I'm saying
flashy
real,
fashionista.
It's real. Final answer.
It's not real.
No.
Let's go. We finally got him after all these years. How heartbroken are you?
Hello, depression, my old friend.
Got him.
Why? Now I hope now I have this thing in my head, and it'll never come to fruition. Just like IRL with tabletop RPG stuff.
I'm trying to think if there are any characters that are just like Tengen or Best Jeanist. There are characters that are like Tengen, but there's not a lot like Best Jeanist. No one's like Best Jeanist. He's just special.
See, I gave you an opening. I did the basic improv thing. It was a yes and thing.
You gave me a weakness to exploit.
I said you something to... Man. See, I let my guard down.
You did, and I exploited it immediately. No hesitation backstab.
I was almost going to say no too, and that was like what steered me, man. And you used flashy a couple of times, like, man.
Let's go.
That was a setup. That was straight up a setup. I've been bullied.
Next stand.
Alright.
There are like 5 more. Do we want to do all that? Yeah?
It's up to you.
So, this stand is called Cinderella.
Alright.
So, Cinderella is another humanoid. And, it is like a porcelain doll. Like, it looks a lot like a doll-like version of the fairy godmother from the Cinderella story. And its ability is it can like alter and enhance a person's physical appearance. So its ability is really bizarre. It can like rip your face off, basically. Painlessly. It's all painless. It can rip your face off and like replace it with a new one. Like it can change your hair. It's literally just GCA character customization where you go into you go into a haircut place, bald, and come out with a full perfect head of hair.
You're just like, you can even change your skin color and everything. You just walk in a guy, like a white male, and you walk out a black woman. It's just like, huh?
You can change your face, change your like features, your body, your hair, like everything. But it's like it's kind of temporary to where like eventually your body will like turn back to how it was. But she can also give out like one of the times that she uses it in the show, she gives this woman lipstick to wear, and she has to like keep applying it like every 8 hours or something to like keep up the beautification. Otherwise it'll wear off. And then if it wears off, if the stand made you look more beautiful, it'll instead make you look uglier than you were. Like, only if you're trying to go for like a more permanent, like major alteration. Like small alterations it can do no problem, or if you just want it to be temporary, there isn't a drawback when it wears off. But because she wanted it to last longer, she like used a different aspect of the ability to make it last longer, but it has a downside if you don't maintain it.
And that's all it does is change appearances?
It is similar to the last stand. It's described as changing your fate. So when she changes this girl's face, it is supposed to also change her fate of finding her true love. So she's supposed to be able to get the man that she's going after to fall in love with her quickly. So...
But then her face changes back to normal, and then...
Which is why she wanted to be permanent. So she asked for the lipstick and stuff. But then, if you fail to maintain it, you'll get ugly again. And it alters your fate back. So, like, it like, mildly warps reality in a nonsensical way to actually, like, make that person fall in love with you. In addition to just making you look more beautiful.
What Cinderella could have to do with any song in existence?
There's, you know, the song Cinderella.
Oh, from the Cinderella movie. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Again, they don't all have to be songs, because the last one was Strength.
That's true.
And Green Day, which is not a song. Unless, is there a
band.
song? Do they have,
Maybe.
Does Green Day have a song called Green Day?
I think they literally do actually have a song called Green Day.
Because they have, like, REO Speedwagon and, like, Dio. Like, they have just straight up, like, songwriters and bands in their show.
Cinderella. Doll. I was gonna say I can't see this being used as an evil stand, but I guess I technically could actually, more of like a bargaining chip. Is this an evil boy or a good boy? Or girl, I guess?
You could say that they're good, but they're basically neutral. It's just a side character that happens to have this stand.
Okay. That didn't fit in the format of good or bad. So... But I felt like... You said bizarre, though. I feel like that was a red herring.
But am I trying to manipulate you?
Are you trying to reverse psychology me?
You are falling under the effects of my stand! JoJo! You're...
Jonathan Monster!
I mean, I literally call you JoJo all the time.
What does the stand look like again? It's just like a porcelain doll, like a small, like a handheld porcelain doll.
It is like human-sized, but it is a porcelain doll.
Real final answer.
This is real.
Let's go.
I think Chat GPT just straight up copied this one for the fashion stand.
Yeah, it was pretty similar.
Yeah, that was why I had this, like, immediately after it, because I'm like, this sounds a lot like Cinderella. But yeah, that's straight up just a stand. That's how it works.
I'm putting a lot of brain power into
Apparently, yeah, this is so fun, though. Next stand. This one is called Pearl Jam.
Huh?
Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Yep.
That's my favorite song. Pearl Jam.
Man, I'm
right.
waiting for you to say, like, real or fake, just based off the name on one of these.
I was going on the third one when it was like real, not real. I was just the second you said like, Green Day, I was gonna be like real. But I decided not to.
You should have. That would have been so funny. Because then I wouldn't have spoiled that fight. I guess I didn't, but, you know.
I forgot everything already.
Of course you did. Don't rewatch this video, though. There's too much going on. It's literally... It's like those sound cannons that they have in Japan.
I'm like, everything that you're saying, I'm like trying to imagine. I'm like, alright, that's what the stand looks like. Okay, that's its power. Wait, it does what?
Literally just like a bard stun-locking you. It's just... You're speaking words at me, but I can't... What's happening? I'm going to die.
The one ability where if you talk to someone a minute, they're just like, all of a sudden, no, we're really afraid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the world and nothing makes sense.
That's so good.
That's literally an ability.
College of Shadows Bard.
Yep.
It's so funny. So,
alright, anyways, Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam. This is another new type of stand. So, some stands, there are only a few of them that I remember, but there are multiple. Some stands are like a horde. Like, it's a bunch of little things instead of being one single unit. So this is a bunch of... They kind of look like angry living peaches that have, like, a face on them. And there's just a whole bunch of them. And the guy that uses them is a chef. And he, like... chops up his own stand and like cooks it into his food, and he is a very good chef, and he makes like any kind of traditional... He runs an Italian restaurant and makes his like traditional Italian foods of whatever he decides that the person wants. But the way that the stand works is it's basically just a healing stand. So the guy looks at the person when they come into his restaurant. He decides what kind of food they should have based on their illnesses, or even like basic maladies, like if you're tired or have like dry skin, like he can just make the perfect food, and if you eat that food, it just magically fixes you in the most horrifying way possible.
Huh?
So one of it, I don't know if I'd describe it as a downside, but it's just gross and awful. But, like, one of the people that eats the food has, like, a sore, stiff shoulder. And so, to invoke the healing process as he eats this food, the food's also, like, mildly addictive. Like, once you start a meal, you have to finish it, both to activate the healing, but also, like, you're just compelled to continue eating. So, the guy, like, starts itching his shoulder, and then he just keeps itching it. And then, like, dead skin starts to, like, flake off. And then he keeps itching it. And, like, his shoulder gets bloody and just torn to shit. And there's a giant just ball of, like, flesh and skin from all of his scratching. And then his shoulder's perfectly fine. And he's happy and healthy. And, like, the joint is fine and it's not sore anymore.
Information overload.
And that's all the stand does. As far as I'm aware, it can't actually cause, like, harm to people. It's just a guy that loves cooking, developed a restaurant, then uses his stand.
I thought that's just peaches for no reason. It has nothing to do with Italian food.
Yep, that's just... It might not be peaches. It might have been, like, tomatoes or something. I don't remember.
It is bizarre, which means... Could it work in space?
If you had food to cook with.
Right, so he just cooks his stand into the food, and that's it. Can he not just pick up a peach and eat it? Does that do nothing?
Well, because normal people can't see or interact with stands. You have to be a stand user to see a stand.
What if he crammed one of his peaches in somebody's mouth?
I mean, I guess he could do that, but I don't think it would work.
It's for Europe.
It would be awful.
That's
but
mildly
sure
horrifying and bizarre. Not super powerful. We're 2 in 1. You described it well enough. Man, I'm so torn.
I hope I've been doing a good job with this. And it sounds like I have been, even though you've gotten the majority right so far.
Pearl Jam backwards is Manjul Reap, which means absolutely nothing. But...
That's where you went with that?
But... yeah, I don't know where I'm I'm trying to... You know what? Real.
Final answer?
Yep.
It's a real stand.
Let's go.
Absolute nonsense stand is real.
So, for the most part, I was like, alright, this is probably a real stand, I could see this, but again, it's like not powerful. It's not gonna help in a fight at all. I guess it's based on their personality.
It is.
That's so weird.
Most stands are like kind of based on the personality, but some of them.
I also could
Personality's rough.
see the image of that man just like ripping apart his shoulder, and then just ta-da, it's fine.
Yeah,
Like
I got a little vivid with that one, but
I could visualize that pretty well.
because
so
otherwise I wasn't giving you any information. I was just like, he makes food and it
Exactly.
heals people.
yeah, I
that's
was
it.
gonna just say no.
Like, I had to give more detail, which,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
otherwise, yeah, it made it a little obvious. I think
I wasn't that obvious.
it wasn't.
wouldn't
It
say.
wasn't super
I
obvious
was
because
still on
it is
my pause.
useless for combat, and it's such a
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
stand.
Well, and that's the thing. I was like, oh, I don't know if there's any stands that are just completely useless in combat. If there's like no hold bars, but also it's JoJo's bizarre adventure. So why would there be a? Why would that be the standard?
But at the same time, I gave you Cinderella just before it, which basically useless in combat.
True. True.
But yeah,
I've had an aneurysm, so I forgot about everything that happened before.
exactly.
Did information overload, and
It's so funny.
I literally, I can't see it right now because I'm typing this out on a note sheet to try to make comparisons. I literally could not tell you the name of the first stand you said right now. I think the second one was Mirage. I can't remember the first one. I'm gonna scroll up now to look at it. Cosmic Catalyst. I would have never remembered that.
Yeah.
I would. That is what you're doing to me.
It's literally just a flashbang in word form. Mental manipulation.
Holy. Can we stop there at 10?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, so we could stop at a perfect 15. Because that way it's not an even number. Not that it matters, because you're currently winning. You're at 7. If you got
all the
every
rest of them
single
wrong,
one
I would
wrong,
lose.
you would
Okay,
lose.
Let's go.
But
Come on, throw them at me.
Otherwise, we could stop if you get the next one right, but that's up to you.
True. Next one I get right, we'll stop.
I just think that it's funny to keep going.
Yeah. I'm killing myself doing this.
I
This is taking
suppose.
years off my life.
It's so fun.
I'm gonna ask the cursed demon how many years I have left. Alright, next stand.
So this stand is called Heaven's Door.
As in knocking on heaven's door.
Maybe.
You know what? Real.
This is fake. No, it's real.
Let's go. That's it. I won.
Yeah, it finally was a song that you knew.
Why do you... Oh, I guess that's the first song that I knew, sure.
I mean,
You're
you
telling
knew
me
Green
that
Day,
all
of
of the
course.
other ones that are real are songs? Strength isn't a song.
So in part 3, they're actually based on tarot cards, which I told you before.
Right. You did tell me that. Right.
Well, that's going to be it for this video, I guess. 'Twas fun. Got to see all the wackiness of JoJo's, and now I guess we're just going to go and straight up watch JoJo's so that you can finally see all the stands in action. And there are so many crazier ones that we didn't even talk about. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.